All right, I know Fear Street Part 3 had came out like 3 days ago. I meant to make a review about that, but then something else came up, which was me and everyone, like we were having a little party watching Space Jam 2. Well, mostly all of us kids. All of us, well, there was mostly boys, so I say all of us boys just watching Space Jam 2, which do stay tuned for my double movie review for Space Jam 1 and 2, which I meant to do around Saturday, but I was enjoying the weekend, and I would have made this video around the Saturday, but again, I was enjoying the weekend, and just like yeah, I'm very sorry that I'm late for this review, but yeah, here I am. This is my spoiler-free review for Fear Street Part 3, 1666, and I have a lot of thoughts I would like to talk about, but I'm going to save it for my spoiler review, which I'm hoping to try and do this Friday. So I'm hoping to try plan my spoiler review for all three parts of Fear Street this Friday, but I don't know if it'll happen this Friday. It depends, but it'll probably either be this Friday or next Friday. But be sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to be notified. But anyways, so yeah, the trilogy, the Fear Street trilogy, had pretty much concluded 3 days ago, and yeah, honestly, like I said 2 weeks ago, actually, that part 3 was like the least part I was looking forward to. Probably mostly because it's been taking place around the Dark Ages or something, like the 7th century or something. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, just pretty much, just all that. I'm like, what could be interesting in part 3? But boy, oh, like last time I said, but I'll probably prove me wrong. Boy, was I right about that, because it proved me wrong, especially for part 1, since part 1 did me a favor, and it made me look forward to part 3. Same goes for part 2. Like, part 1 helped me just pretty much give me in all the details that I needed to know about the Fear Street trilogy, for why 1994 was part 1 instead of part 3 and stuff. So, yeah, and so now that I've seen part 3, this may be the greatest horror movie I've ever seen. And I don't know what to say about it, but it's a bloodshed. But yeah, before I talk about my thoughts on Fear Street Part 3 without spoiling the entire thing, do check out my other reviews for Part 1, 1994, and Part 2, 1978, along with my movie reactions for pretty much the entire Fear Street trilogy. Part 1, which is split into 3 parts for my movie reaction, then Part 2, which is split into 4 parts, same goes for Part 3, and I will be right back. Sorry about that, my Leon reminded me to that my dad needed to brush my teeth. So let's get down to business. So yeah, I had a major blast watching this, because we found out a couple of things that are pretty much major plot twists that I'm gonna say for my spoiler review, in which will be in my triple movie review for pretty much the Fear Street trilogy, part 1 to 3. But oh man, this movie is banana crazy. It is bonkers, and of course, it is pretty much violent, as with the gore and violence, deaths and stuff. But it's just insane. Like, part 3 just pretty much explained everything, gave us all the secrets, all the it's just insane. It's just insane. It gave us everything we needed to know for the first 2 parts of the movie, and this would be a little spoiler, but it's kind of part 2 for 1994. Since basically half of the movie takes place in 1666, and then the other half, we're back to 1994, which is technically part 2 in a weird way. Not legit. It shows that in the movie, which is a spoiler, but it can't be that big of a spoiler, because you have no idea what just went down and what I had just witnessed while watching this in my movie reaction, which you could definitely check out in the my icon up here. But oh man, this is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. I enjoyed every bit of it, and yeah, I understand that I was screaming too loud, not paying attention. Yeah, sorry about that. I try not to scream, but it sadly happens almost every time. But still, just I'm completely speechless. I gotta give applause for this. Like, god dang, this is like, I was hoping to put part 2 in my number 1 ranking, but honestly, screw it. Part 3 is going on number 1 in my ranking on all 3 part 3 movies. What's my ranking? 3 part 1, 2, which is of course part 2, then 1, part 3. Like, oh my god, this movie is just insane. Like, and the best part about it, some of the characters that I root for do end up living. Well, sort of. Some characters for 6066, yeah. Some don't make it, but it's not that. I mean, it's not that bad since. I mean, it's probably that bad, but I was mostly rooting for characters in 1994. That was technically because we're technically in 1994, and you're just traveling through time, flashback, story time, and stuff. It's just, oh man, it's just insane. This movie is straight up insane. I really want to talk about this. Let's just some major spoilers, especially for the major plot twist. Because oh my god, like just we pretty much find out who's the real villain for this entire trilogy, and that pretty much sounds like a major spoiler, which kind of does. But I didn't say who was the villain. I just said we find out who's the real villain for this trilogy, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say crap of who's the villain, especially the villain's name. So yeah, I'm saying you're all good. You're all good. But just still, I really enjoyed this, and honestly, this is again, I'm just completely speechless. I'm just straight up completely speechless, and also, now the ending. Now, I'd say it was a pretty good ending. It did not leave us in a cliffhanger. Yeah, cliffhanger. Okay, yeah. Of course, this does sort of. There's kind of a little cliffhanger. I mean, it's a good ending, but a little tiny cliffhanger, which is kind of R.L.Stine's little dirty work magic, since he does like to do us dirty with these nasty cliffhangers and goosebumps. But I didn't say what happened in the cliffhanger, but yeah, honestly, I'm hoping we can get a sequel to this. Now, it would be weird since we technically have gotten 2 sequels, but part 2 and 3 are technically, I mean, this is technically Fear Street 1 split into 3 parts. So I'm hoping we could get a sequel to this, which would be Fear Street 2, and it might as well be split into 3 parts again, because why not? We might as well have a trilogy, like how we have a trilogy for Star Wars, like prequel trilogy, original trilogy, and a sequel trilogy. So yeah, you might as well have that, because I would like to see how this could all go down again in the present, like in 2000 something, like for example 2021, for example. But still, just I really liked everything about this movie. Just yeah, honestly, part 3 is probably better than the first 2 movies. Like, I hate to say it, part 3 is now my most favorite out of the Fear Street trilogy. But anyways, let's get down to business now. My first 2 reviews were a bit long, but sad. But I mean, sadly, it's been 3 days, and I pretty much have now forgotten a little bit. But I'll be talking a lot in my spoiler review this Friday or next Friday, depends really. Anyways, so actually, I'm gonna give 2.5 stars, 30%. There is a little bit of action going on, mostly around I would say 1994, which is the other half of the movie, and comedy. It's kind of a little dark and horror movie, but there are still some funny moments in here, mostly taking place in 1994. But yeah, I'll give 2 stars, 40%, and the drama. Oh, I'm giving it 5 stars, 100%. With the way we found out, the way we pretty much got to the bottom of this, find out the truth about Shady Side, who's the real villain about this, and pretty much finding out everything about with the Shady Side killers. Like, I gotta give this 5 stars. Like, the drama is just well built, I guess. And the horror, oh, of course, there's some blood, violence, gore, and some nasty deaths in here. So, of course, I'm giving it 5 stars, 100%. This was straight up scary as hell. And suspense, oh, definitely 5 stars, 100%. Because, again, I'm just rooting for all characters, especially for Josh. Like, oh man, this movie is just straight up crazy. But I'm giving this 5 stars, 100%. But casual fans will give it an A plus, cinephiles B plus, and then critically A plus, 10 out of 10. Honest, now I gave the first 2 movies in my hold up in my review scales. Hold on one moment. Must watch on Netflix. I could have gave one of those 2 add to your collection, but I would give it for this one. But honestly, I'm giving this the freaking movie award. Like, oh my god, this is one of the best horror movies I've seen this year on Netflix. But yeah, I forgot to mention, a Moist Meter 100%. But yeah, that's my thoughts on pretty much the final chapter, part 3 for Fear Street. But do stay tuned for my spoiler review for the Fear Street trilogy, where I talk about spoilers for not only part 1, but part 2 and part 3. So yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts, comments down below. Now I have posted community posts where you guys tell me your thoughts about part 3, and you do comment below on my movie reaction. But yeah, do check out my movie reaction for part 1, part 2, and part 3, and do check out my other reviews that I've done for Fear Street part 1 and 2. And yeah, do stay tuned for my spoiler review for the Fear Street trilogy. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.